Welcome to today's training video. In this presentation, we are going to go over part 2 of the GPA Reports and Matching presentation. This is our agenda for today. We are going to go over GPA matching, GPA editing, and end with important student responsibilities. If you need to see an overview of GPA matching and the various helpful GPA reports, please see the GPA Reports and Matching Part 1 video. Let's start with the process to match GPAs to a FAFSA or CADAA. As a reminder, high schools are responsible for editing and matching unmatched GPAs. Matching GPAs to a financial aid ensures the student will be considered for a Cal Grant A or a Cal Grant B, so it is crucial this step is done. Now there are two steps to match GPAs to a FAFSA or CADAA. First, identify unmatched GPAs using the non-SSN GPA status report. Second, match the GPA to the FAFSA or CADAA using the non-SSN to Fin App Match screen under the Cal Grant menu. So let's take it one at a time. Let's begin with the first step, identifying unmatched GPAs using the non-SSN GPA status report. On this screen, we will look at a sample student by the name of Shannon Aguilera Gonzalez. Notice the match column indicates no match. Looking at the match fields column on the right, we can see that her first name, date of birth, and city match what was submitted by the school, which means that her last name did not match. Once we have identified a student that does not have a matching GPA, we move on to step 2, matching the student's GPA to the financial aid application. Now, when using the Match Non-SSN GPA to Fin App screen, it is important to remember that you are trying to match the GPA to the financial aid application, not the other way around. Therefore, you will submit your query on WebGrants using the information submitted with the GPA record. The main reason that results do not populate even for students with completed and fully submitted applications is in how the data is entered during the query. With that in mind, follow these steps for a successful query. Leave the last name blank to expand your query, but you can include the last name if there are too many records that match that search criteria. Then, enter the first 3 letters of the student's first name as submitted on the GPA record, enter their date of birth, and then enter your 6-digit school board ID and add 2 trailing zeros at the end. And then once you have all that information inputted in your query, you can click Search. Now, a helpful tip as you go through the GPA matching and editing process is it would be helpful to keep a printout of the reference guide handy as it can get a little confusing. So that would be helpful to have on hand. Now, based on our search criteria from the previous slide, these are the student records that populated. Quick note, while the school code is used during the query, the results that populate are not contained to just your students. Records that match your query will populate from all high schools. So from here, you'll locate and click on your student to pop up that record, and any selected records will turn blue and records highlighted in green have already been matched. The next screen will offer potential matches, also based upon this same search criteria. This record match screen displays your GPA in the green column on the left, and any FAFSA or CADAA records that match your query from your school and other schools will appear in the white columns to the right. Once you have confirmed that the financial aid record being displayed is indeed your student, simply select the Match Radio button followed by Submit Change and then click OK in the pop-up window to submit the data and link the 2 records. Before submitting changes, confirm that the application you are matching to belongs to your student and not to another student with similar data. Sometimes we see similar data with twins or triplets that have very similar demographic information, so you want to make sure that you are selecting match on the correct student. At the top of the screen, you will see confirmation of your match record, and your student's name now appears in green, indicating a match record. And that's it. You've now linked the GPA to the application, and you've now helped the student receive Cal Grant consideration. Now, during the matching process, some of you might have come across the dreaded gold hold status. Flagged GPA records occur when 2 or more student records contain data that is too similar for WebGrants to confirm a match and needs manual verification. These flagged records are highlighted in gold and used to have a message that the record is on hold and schools needed to contact CSAC. But now, schools can work these records within WebGrants. To fix these records, you will go to the Review Flag Match GPA screen in WebGrants and locate your flagged GPAs. You will then review the record and select Verify if that is the correct student, or Unmatch if that is not. Flagged GPAs are common when students have very similar data, such as first and last names, date of birth, and addresses. Again, we often see this happen with twins and triplets. Sometimes you will receive various error messages like what you see on the screen. To work around these error messages, you can try modifying your search criteria to generate different results, or you can edit the GPA. In some cases, students might have to go back into their FAFSA or CADAA and correct their information from there. However, if these error messages persist despite trying the two methods we recommended, it might be one of these three things. The application was not submitted, the application is incomplete and therefore requires additional steps like missing a parent signature, or the application was just submitted within the last 10 days and has not yet been loaded into our web grant system. If you are still not having any luck locating your student's GPA and you have seen the student aid report and confirmed that the application was fully submitted, please contact CSAC School Support. We will do our best to help you resolve the error. Now that you have seen how to match GPAs to a financial aid application, let's see how editing GPAs can assist the matching process. So to start, schools should attempt to edit a GPA if the following criteria are met. First, if the student application is not found and the query produces an error message like what you see on the screen, and if your student confirms that the FAFSA or CADAA was submitted at least 10 days ago. If the application was submitted recently, it may not be in web grants yet. In this case, you may need to wait a few more days before the application appears on our system. Please note that while the GPA matching continues through September 30th of every year, the edit functionality is only available through April. However, it is best practice to match GPAs while the edit screen is still available, as it makes the matching process easier and more effective. Now, how do we edit GPAs? First, let's go back to our same student, Shannon Aguilera Gonzalez. Remember that the non-SSN GPA status report showed that her first name, date of birth, and city match what was submitted by the school as shown in the match fields column, which we can infer that her last name and zip code do not match. Next, contact the student to retrieve her FAFSA or her CADAA submission summary. In reviewing the student's student aid report, we see that she submitted her FAFSA with just one of her two last names, Aguilera versus Aguilera Gonzalez. The discrepancy between the student names on the GPA and the financial aid application is the primary reason these records did not automatically match. But using the Edit GPA function, you can overwrite the GPA data that was previously uploaded to mirror her student aid report and then reattempt your match. Now that we have identified what information needs to be edited, enter your search criteria on the Edit Non-SSN GPA record screen. Just like the search fields we use on the non-SSN GPA to Fin app match, we will query for the edited GPA in the same manner, using the first three letters of the student's first name, date of birth, and their school ID. You can omit the last name to expand your search results, and then from there, you can click Search. Once the list populates, you can select your student's name to open up her GPA record. When the GPA edit screen opens, we will edit all fields to mirror the student aid report. In reviewing the student aid report, we notice a few different data fields, not just the last name, that differ between the GPA and the FAFSA. We see her last name was different, there was a missing apartment number, and the zip code was incorrect. We'll edit those three fields to mirror the student aid report so that our GPA data is an exact match to the student's application. You'll then click Submit followed by OK to save changes. Here's a new functionality for schools. On the Edit Non-SSN GPA screen in web grants, institutions can now edit the GPA and the high school graduation date fields for students whose GPAs have been matched to an application but not yet been processed. This allows schools to submit certain GPA corrections in real time instead of having to email the corrections to school support for processing. Once we have confirmed our edits on the GPA data matches the student's application, a pop-up confirmation will appear at the top of the screen. From here, we're almost done. We have one final step left, which is to reattempt the match. Once again, after editing the GPA, we need to reattempt to match the GPA to the application. To do that, we query for the newly edited GPA on the non-SSN GPA to FinApp match screen. Just like we saw earlier, the screen displays our newly edited GPA in the green column on the left, but because we matched all fields between the two records exactly, this time only one FAFSA or CADAA record was found, our student. From there, you'll select the Match Radio button, submit changes, and click OK on the pop-up confirmation window to link the two records. Now this student will now be considered for a Cal Grant. Now that we have gone over how to match and edit GPAs, we will conclude this presentation with a few important student responsibilities. Web Grants for students is a necessity when applying for financial aid. Students are required to create a Web Grants for Students account 10 days after they submit a FAFSA or 24 hours after submitting a CADAA in order to confirm their GPA was received, complete any pending tasks, confirm or change their school of attendance, put their Cal Grant on hold, and many more. In the Students Portal, they can access their award summary information for nearly all state financial aid, such as their Cal Grant Award, Chafee Grant for Foster Youth Award, and their Middle Class Scholarship Award. We highly recommend you teach your students to become their own financial aid advocates, as they will be closely monitoring their Web Grants for Students account throughout college. Now on their student portal, students should fulfill any pending requirements marked by an orange colored tile. This is where they can claim the Cal Grant by self-certifying high school graduation. They can also report any school change so their award goes to the correct school. This is important in case the school listed on their Web Grants for Students account is not actually the school they are planning to attend. They can also place their Cal Grant on hold if they are taking a leave of absence from school or if they do not want to use up their Cal Grant just yet. And finally, they can confirm their GPA was received, and they can see when their GPA was received and who uploaded their GPA. For the last couple of slides, here are some best practices to leave you off with so you can help your students. As counselors, you should confirm you have the most accurate and current demographic information from your seniors using the Cal Grant GPA demographic verification form before you start uploading GPAs. It will make the GPA matching process so much easier if you have identical information with what your student put on their FAFSA or CADAA. Next, review the Financial Aid Application Status Report and Non-SSN GPA Status Report weekly to be proactive in the GPA matching and editing process. And finally, outreach to your students who have unmatched GPAs so you can obtain their FSS or their CalSAR and start editing and matching your students. Remind your students to submit their FAFSA or CADAA before the priority deadline, and even if students miss the Cal Grant deadline, they should still submit their applications for consideration for other types of financial aid. On the flip side, students should submit a FAFSA or a CADAA no later than the priority deadline. All students should apply for financial aid regardless of income, since not all aid are income-based. And students should include at least one California college from every segment on their financial aid application, even if they plan on attending college out of state. Next, students should also create a Web Grants for Students account after they submit a financial aid application to complete any pending tasks and to claim their awards. Finally, students should attend a free virtual or in-person Cash for College workshop for assistance with their FAFSA or CADAA. The many volunteers that help out at these workshops are knowledgeable with the financial aid process, so students should take advantage and attend at least one Cash for College event to get their questions answered. Links to the virtual and in-person Cash for College workshops have been provided at the bottom of the screen for you. Please sign up for a local Cash for College event near you. And we are at the end. If you have any questions after this training, please reach out to the following contacts for any questions. The training unit is also available for any questions or concerns if you reach out to us through email. Also, if you have not done so already, please remember to subscribe to our listserv so you are up to date with any changes and deadlines. It is our main line of communication to high school and college counselors, as well as to other financial aid advisors. Thank you and see you in the next video.